Here we go. We're back. We're live at Blue Jays camp in Dunedin. We have Max Scherzer joining us right now, sitting next to AJ. All right, let's do this. Max, great to have you on. Appreciate the time. Thanks for jumping off the show with us for this. And we haven't spoken to you since you signed with the Blue Jays. So I'm surprised that you ended up with Toronto. Take us through how that happened. I was like, okay, I see you, Toronto.
Yeah, just the way the free agency process works, the way the market works. Had some conversations with teams across the league, especially on the East Coast. My family being there in Jupiter. Really kind of want to stay on the East Coast. It really helps me see my kids more. When having the conversations, the way the market shook out, Toronto became a really good fit for me. Had some conversations with the front office and wanted to really know, like, all right, what's the direction of the team? How you view 2025? And they came back and said, hey, no, we're in an all-in position. We're going for it. So that was kind of music to my ears. And, when they went out there, signed Santander, and, they showed the commitment that they're serious about this year. And so became definitely an option for me. And obviously we got that across the finish line.
Fifth starter?
Is that the first time?
Is that the first, like, you went into camp?
I don't care where you put me. I go out there, you give me a start. It doesn't matter where you're at within the rotation. So, as a starter, you're a group. So it doesn't matter what number you are.
Okay. Because I was saying first ballot Hall of Famers usually don't take over the fifth starters.
I don't look at it in any which way like that. It's an opportunity to start, compete, be a part of a championship caliber team.
Okay. That's much, very, very vet answer right there, by the way.
What does a season look like for you? You've never had a season where you're like, hopefully I get 25 starts. But a lot of guys at your age, they're already talking about, we'll sit them down for a few starts. Did you tell Schneider? No chance. Like, give me the ball. I'm going to be out there every 5 days.
The conversation revolved around that. Hey, look, the reason why I was hurt last year, it was really the nerve issue. It was not the back issue. I was dealing with stuff that was coming from my thumb into my tricep, radial nerve stuff. And that was the reason, for the lack of starts last year. Which is actually a good thing. The number one concern you have to have about me is the back, but that hasn't been the ailment. Knock on wood, I've been doing very good with that and physically feeling great because of it. Went into the offseason to try to address that nerve issue through my hand all the way up into my shoulder, what I needed to do to make sure that nerve had enough space to work and fire and function properly, and I feel like I've addressed it. And so as long as that part is good, I should be going out there and making my starts start in, start out. So if I'm healthy going out there, I feel like I can still pitch at very high level, go out there and compete and do my thing.
All right. I have to ask. So you signed with Toronto this year. Are you still getting checks from Washington, New York, Texas, Dodgers, Tigers, Diamondbacks? How many people do you get checks from per year? And
I'm trying to set the record here of how many teams.
Kratz played for like 13 organizations. You're getting paid from like 13 organizations at the same time.
I know. Now we're getting mixed in the currencies now.
Yeah, I know. Now it's going to get really confusing.
My tax guy is going to, my CBA is going to have a nightmare. So let's see how many different ways we can slice this.
Man, it's awesome. It's awesome. So yesterday, your second start of the spring was yesterday your second start. First batter.
Trey had me rolling. Oh man,
you actually laughed in your windup.
Oh,
which I've never seen you do.
That just shows you how much history I have, with Trey and all them. That's how much trash talk going on with all those guys on the Phillies. I got so many different guys with it. I thought Trey was going to swing for the fences there and try to tee off on me. Instead, he's taking out, and he kind of locked me up that he wasn't swinging, and I realized what he was doing. He was challenging it, so that had a good laugh.
You love the ABS?
That's a.
Especially
there's a lot of talking points,
especially
around
when
it.
It's right down the middle.
No, there's a lot of talking points around it. In terms of ABS, but that's a long conversation.
Okay, so
if you want to get into it, we can.
Yeah, we're here for it.
All right,
let's get into it.
I want to hear it.
Please.
Yes.
Because I think,
yeah, sure.
First of all, you were 6'4", and now you're only 6'2", so just know that because
6'3".
measuring heights. Yeah, you're 6'3", you're 6'1", though. They actually measure your height now because they have to make sure you're shorter. I don't know.
Let's get on all the talking points here on ABS. Reason being is that, hey, I was on the competition committee with Daniel Murphy, and this is like 6 years ago, of working through some of these issues and thinking about the game and what we had. And when I had these meetings, with the union and MLB, for me, let's go back and say, all right, when we first instituted replay, we're for us, for me, that was that Mano Galarraga play. Like, all right, that's an egregious call. That's got to be an out. Like, we have the technology now. Let's make that call an out.
Were you on that team?
Yeah, I was on that team, so
man.
saw it. Yeah, and so we've now, as an industry, we've gotten that call right at first base. We get the call right 100. For lack of better terms here, but 100% of the time, we're getting that call right. And I think as a game, we like that call is right 100% of the time. Now, what's the unintended consequence of having replay in the game? Now, when you slide in the second, you can be safe by a mile, and your cleat comes off by just an inch, and all of a sudden now you're out. So when we put in replay, we were thinking about these egregious calls, but all of a sudden we had this unintended consequence of.
But that was what it wasn't meant for, right? That's
right.
It was not. And the players were like, the guy's clearly safe, but his momentum takes him off and his cleat comes. So that's kind of what you're saying, is that it wasn't what it was meant to be.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be for that specific play. We weren't trying to take the neighborhood play out of the game. That was an unintended consequence of now bringing replay into the game. The other thing, that the umpires, when we think about, this was 5 years ago, is like, hey, gambling's coming more into the game, and who's the number one person that can affect the game in terms of gambling was the umpire. And if the umpire is if we're going to have more gambling, hey, might need a check on the umpires, and you might need some type of replay system to have that. You combine that with the fact that, hey, there was a lot of kind of egregious calls, calls that are way off the plate, that are getting called as strikes. And being on that competition committee, we said that, hey, we might need a challenge system. We need to look into this, as the game progresses here. I put my hand up. I suggested that. Now fast forward 5 years, how has the game looked? You've seen the unintended consequences of this. When you bring in the challenge system now, okay, that's fine. But there's a wide range of different ways we can actually navigate this. Not saying that technology is bad, but do we need the electronics? How much of the electronic strike zone do we want actually in the gameplay? So there's different ways you can actually solve this. One, you could sit there and say, all right, the minimum way to actually do this is to say, all right, just grade the umpires. If you just grade the umpires and you try to eliminate the bad umpires, hey, get the umpires calling the zone. They're actually really good about this. When you think back to the last postseason, do we think back bad umpires, that the strike zone was really an issue?
Not that I can remember.
Right. The good umpires are good. So, what problem are we really solving right now? So, that's one talking point to kind of, think about when we're talking about this issue. Second way is to think about it is we have a buffer zone already kind of there. Should there be a buffer zone with the challenge system? Like, hey, are
the buffer zone still a ball? Because it used to be like, they used to say, all right, you can kind of get a ball on each side, right?
Yeah. And so do you want to, have just quarter inches, with 50-50 pitches, going on, do you want to have a buffer zone within the challenge system? Because you bring that all up because, all right, so this is the other talking point I'd like to say is, okay, when you hit your spot, a 50-50 pitch on the edge, you hit your spot, if you hit your spot, it's not 50-50. Sometimes you get that 8 out of 10 times. But if you're throwing a pitch on the other side, and you're reaching away, it's a 50-50 call. Well, you should really only be getting that 2 out of 10 times. And so that's kind of the human element of the game. We're talking about is you want to hit your spot. The electronic strike zone doesn't view it that way. It only views it as 50-50 and 50-50 on everything. So when you say the human element of the game, that's what the human element of the game is. Do we want to get rid of that? What are going to be the unintended consequences of getting rid of that? Is this going to create more, catchers to sit up middle and we just have more stuff guys? Is that better for the game? It's something that we need to think about if the electronic strike zone is going to be more prevalent in a game. So, another solution is to say, hey, limit the scope of the replay of saying, hey, it's only 2 replays in one game, or some limit, maybe 3 at 3 challenges per game max. So that way you're only using the challenge in, big spots or it's an egregious call. Like you're not just using it on an 0-0 pitch or where you can have 10 challenges within a game. And so, when you're thinking about when we're seeing this ABS, challenge system coming into the game, it's not as it versus status quo. It's all right. What are the different options that we could use the technology for to make the game better? And so that's where the last thing we really want to have happen here is have the changes in behaviors, have unintended consequences, have the game change because of a challenge system. I think how we want this, we just want the umpires better. We don't want the game to change. We don't want people trying to manipulate the electronic strike zone. We just want we just want the umpires to be better. And so there's different ways to achieve that, and there could be an incremental way to bring it into the game to make the umpires better. But at the end of the day, I don't think we want to take the human element out of the game.
Agreed. Before Kratz is going to have a question, I know your piece is out. But I do have one question. When you did this in your first start, did Schneid's call you in and say, Max, you lost all power to ever challenge again?
No, actually, that was a situation where we had talked about getting curveballs down, because sometimes you
can like nail the front of the zone.
Yeah, you don't know exactly where it's at. And actually in that moment, I saw the umpire kind of flinch. So I was like, oh, is it? And then with Kirk, first time throwing to Kirk, like, all right, I was actually more curious, like, where is that actually at? And so it was just a chance to see that. I didn't necessarily know if it was actually striking.
And then it was like this far.
I thought it was going to be close. It turned out it was off the ground. Like, just, hey, it's one of those things. I probably wouldn't have done that if it was in season, but it was like, hey, it's spring training, as a chance to look at it.
Okay. Who's going to have the most benefit? I know you've only had 2 starts on the system. Once everybody gets used to it, who's going to benefit the most if this is implemented? Pitchers or hitters?
I don't know. I don't know. I have to see more of that, and really, you hear from the minor leaguers. I've talked to minor leaguers and minor league coaches, and it's not 100% slam dunk. Like I said, they've kind of advocated some of the guys I've talked to have advocated, hey, just use the electronic strike zone to grade the umpires. They see that as the kind of the easiest solution that doesn't change behavior, and continue to have the conversation of how we want electronic strike zone within the game. But that we also see the negatives of taking the human element out of the game. That would be the kind of the simplest way to move forward with this. Hey, the technology is good. Keep making the umpires good, make them better, and really just try to eliminate the bad umpires. And I think overall that's what the humans want. That's what the game. That's what all the players, the veterans, everybody wants.
But I remember, I don't think you were around when they started what's called Quest Tech.
Mm-hmm.
So it was before like the
Sure.
ABS and all that. And that was a big thing. There was only certain ballparks that had it too.
Right.
And the ballparks that had it thought they got treated unfairly by umpires. So I know every ballpark has it now, a rating system. But we've also seen that hasn't translated to umpires getting World Series jobs or postseason jobs. Because I know the umpires do better in the postseason, but if you look at the grades of umpires that were in the playoffs, some of them were rated not even in the top half of them, but yet they still work the World Series or the LCSs. So yes, they have a grading system, but if it's not working, isn't this a better way to make it almost more public? I don't want to say public shaming, but This is almost like a way to be like, man, this guy stinks. He's had more head taps than any other umpire has.
Sure. And I think that's a very fair argument and very fair point to bring up and say, hey, look, the umpires, you guys are great, but let's make sure we have the best umpires in the postseason. We're judging everything based on how our seasons are on the postseason. Let's make sure the best umpires are in that situation as well. So I feel like that's a very fair argument, a very fair conversation to have.
I mean, the best umpire graded guy just got suspended, by the way, for a year for gambling.
Right.
So you mentioned gambling, you mentioned umpires. Right. It happened.
Right.
We saw it happen in the NBA. Remember
Right.
the guy got kicked out got arrested for point shaving. And again, Pat Hoiberg wasn't gambling.
Yeah.
Just his friend used his whatever.
I'm not here to litigate it.
No, I know.
Say, hey, look, MLB did their homework on this, and if there's an integrity violation here, like, yeah, you can't have anything going on with the umpires. Like that would ruin. Like the fans would, really look down on that.
Agreed.
You said you were on the competition committee, and we had Whit Merrifield on here, and he constantly talked about being on the committee and being like, eye roll. Did you feel like you were heard in the sense, the way that players want to be heard on a competition committee? Because that's all players do is compete.
I think the committee's different than where we were, say, 6 years ago. when it's like it was just Daniel Murphy, me, and just kind of a group of from MLB, and we were just kind of talking through issues. I think it's different now where it's owners, umpires, and select players, and a little bit different structure to it. So I think the competition committee, I'm not on it, so I can't really comment of what that those conversations are like. But, for me, I can say, hey, look, I was on this. I was talking about this, 5-6 years ago. Here's where things were at 5-6 years ago. Yeah, I said look into this. But as we've looked into this, hey, there's some hold on there. We got to be careful of how we think about bringing this into the game. Are there other solutions here that, accomplish 90% of what we're looking for, and that's good enough?
Okay. We had Tommy Pham on last week at Pirates Camp. He's a veteran. He's been around. He's very outspoken, kind of like you. Mm-hmm. He mentioned veteran guys and how hard it was this offseason. And you look out there and you see Rizzo, Lance Lynn, Whit Merrifield, Jose Quintana. Mm-hmm. Like, these are guys that have done a lot of things in this game, are healthy. Gibson,
sure,
right? Guys guys you played with, guys you played against. They're still out there. Why? Because these are certified big league guys. It's not like they had bad years either.
Right.
I mean, they're out there and they can help teams win. Why are they not being signed?
Yeah, this is always a tough one because you don't have every answer. You can't help every player in every situation. The only way you can look at this from the league is to say, hey, are all 30 teams competing? Are they actually trying to field, highly competitive rosters? You can't guarantee anybody a job to stay in the big leagues. There's a finite time of years you play here. But the only thing you can look at from the league standpoint is are all the teams competing? And if they're all competing, then that's the best. That's where the free market works. Free agency should work in a free market, and that's the best you can do, and let the chips fall where they may.
Got it. Yeah, because he dug into a lot of stuff, but he basically said it's harder to stay, which we all know how hard it is to stay in the big leagues. He said vets tryout phases like in June or July when they get traded to a new team. Like, you've been traded in the middle of the year, and he was saying, like, that was my tryout for the next year. He's like, there was no free agency. When I got traded, basically that was my free agent time, and then I had to go and prove myself again. I mean, it was all stuff that we've all kind of talked about as players before. I mean, because it's getting harder as you get older, as an older player, to find. I mean, you didn't sign right away, and you have the track record that nobody has. JV, Justin Verlander was out there for a long time. I mean, you guys are first ballot Hall of Fame guys with all the credentials in the world, and teams are like, well, but I mean, it's just strange to me. Because you would think if I'm running a team, you guys, not only do I want you for what you do on the field, but I want you guys for what you do off the field with the young kids who I have coming up. And you can sit down with, Bowden Francis, who's coming on next, and say, hey, look, this is how I pitch. This is what I look. Help him get his career to the next level.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there is value in that, but it's a hard stone to throw to say, hey, these guys, everybody should have jobs. No, you can't necessarily have that argument. It's, hey, is every team trying to compete to try to win at the major league level? That's the only question you can answer. Once you say that answer is yes, then the free agent market is what it is.
You sound like Scott Boras, by the way.
Oh, really?
We had him on. No, because we had him on. No, sure. We had him on, last week, 2 weeks ago? We had him on after all of his main guys signed. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of saying the same thing. He's like, if every team was trying 30 out of 30, he said it would be a much better market for every player. But he kind of just said, not, as we know, I mean, we don't need to name the teams that aren't really trying to win. And he said that holds the value down because not every team is bidding on all the players.
Right. I mean, we have that conversation within the union. I mean, it's not just Scott.
Yeah.
Kind of everybody talks like that. So, that's at the end of the day, that's what we want. From a game, Major League Baseball fans, everybody involved, that's what we want.
Max, I've got one more for you. You're on a team with super, super talented youngsters like Vladdy Jr. and Bo Bichette. You actually went through their experience a long time ago, a free agent season, right? The Tigers making an offer. You bet on yourself. You end up with the Nats, great contract, World Series title. It all worked out great. What advice would you give them?
Hey, look, right now you're going through this is a really tough time. Your walk year, it's a tough year. Nobody else understands these challenges when you're in this position. And it's really a tough year. But the only way to get through it is when you walk through those doors, are you here to win or not? Are you here for contract? Or are you here just to win for baseball? And if you just show up and play baseball and you're here to win, be a good teammate, everything takes care of itself. Don't worry about anything else. It all just works. Be yourself. Go out there, compete as hard as you can. Business stuff, yeah, you got to worry about business stuff. I get it. You're making decisions around that. But when you walk through the clubhouse, just be yourself and go out there and compete and win.
All right, last one. You've played with a lot of people. You've played with more people than Kratz has had uniforms on, okay? Your favorite teammate?
Oh, I can't even get it to one.
I thought for sure you'd say Austin Hedges. Because, I mean, you guys used to dump chocolate sauce on it and do all kinds of things.
Yeah, in Texas, Hedges great. I mean, like it goes back throughout all the years. Different guys from Arizona all the way down to, through Texas now. Of all the different guys I got to play with, but there's there's so many different guys of different characters I played with and played against that I really enjoyed. So that's the best part is that it's great. It's great to have actually gotten to be a part of so many different clubhouses because I've gotten to be exposed to so many different to so many different guys and really get to get on the same page and be friends with so many different players.
That's funny. By the way, I know you've seen this and you have to go, but the meme that runs on Instagram where it's like, oh, they came to see Randy Johnson and someone pitched and it was you and Kershaw facing each other. I mean, how disappointed were the fans? And now they look back and say, oh, man, how was that?
Yeah, I had a good one. So I saw that and I went to Mike Maddox and I said, all right, who you got? Randy and I versus Greg or Kershaw, who you taking? And I thought he had the best answer. And he said, who's the closer? I thought that was a good answer.
Yes, agreed.
That's good.
Well, thank you.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate the time, man. Always good to see you, and we'll catch you during the season.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you. Max Scherzer with us on FT. We'll be right back with Bowden Francis.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Always the best.
Mm-hmm.
All right, FT fam. A couple minutes away from Bowden Francis joining the show. Looking forward to that. Kratz, and then later on, we'll get John Schneider, Alek Manoah, Jeff Hoffman, all very interesting. Actually, here's one that we probably won't have time for later, so we'll do the shout out here. Billy Eppler back in the game. And he joins the Milwaukee Brewers front office, whatever title, special assistant to the regional manager, blah, 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 blah. But he'll be part of the front office to help them out. There it is, taking a position. Special advisor, scouting and baseball ops for the Brewers. According to Andy Martino, who covers the Mets, Eppler, of course, got in my mind, without knowing the whole story, fake trouble for using the Phantom IL. Sounds like maybe someone told on him or something. It's something that every team does, so I don't give a crap. But I had to just sit it out because there was probably a disgruntled employee. But welcome back to the sport to a good dude.
100%. And when I talked to him before, wanting to have him on the show, he was like, you know what? I don't know. Like, I've done the GM thing. He had 2 little stints, and he's like, I love the scouting part. So for him to be able to be that advisor to join an organization that loves great people in the Brewers, to be able to advise them and give them some counsel, but also be in that scouting realm, I'm sure he's juiced. I haven't heard back from him since I texted him when I saw the news, but I'm excited to see where it goes and see where it continues to help an organization that continues to find value on the edges, probably better than any team in the game right now.
Yeah. Even if he does want to jump back into a higher level role at some point, being in that system for a little bit will be helpful, right? He had to lead the charge with the Mets. That was a team, even on the ownership side, going through transitions, and they had some messy former GM situations, right? I'm forgetting the other dude's name. Not Zach Scott, who had his own thing, but there was one. Oh, Jared Porter. Right?
Yes,
that's
thank
the
you,
name.
thank you.
Yeah, that was Google that if you want to be like, what the heck's going on in life. But
that was
anyway,
a short stint.
That was a very short stint. And then he was with the Angels, who also have tons of flaws within their organization. So then you get to go to a big boy org in terms of how they're run and see how Milwaukee is run. I thought that was very important for someone like Alex Anthopoulos, right? He was running the Jays at such a young age. I just don't know how much he was able to learn from everyone else, right? He was often learning from himself. So I thought that was cool for him to go to the Dodgers and then run the Braves.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, AJ.
All right, we're charging the mound, and it sounds like Bowden Francis is getting set up over in Dunedin. So let's do this for a moment here while they're getting set up. Travis Hunter is a pretty big deal football player, played for Colorado, and he's a cornerback and a wide receiver. It's about all I know. But he says that what he does is more difficult than what Shohei Ohtani does. We can run the clip.
Probably me, what I do in football, because it's a lot on your body. You know, Tony, he's a great player, but you got to do a lot in football.
I get it. You're muted. You're
He
muted.
didn't go
Scott.
too deep into it, but
No.
I do feel like we got the gist where he's like, yo, physically, I'm playing football basically on the field at all times versus what Ohtani does. Your thoughts?
I would say, to keep it short, cornerback is probably one of the most difficult needing to be athletics positions in any sport, because you have to chase down wide receivers who know where they're going and are just as fast as you, and you have to be able to keep up and jump routes. So that's difficult, but he ain't close to Ohtani.
Okay, so let's ask AJ and Bowden Francis, who should be ready to go now. AJ, you got us?
I got you guys, but I don't know if I can sit next to this man. His name, who is named after one of the all-time most evil persons in the world.
You're a Florida
Most
guy?
evil peoples in the world. Yes, I am a Florida guy.
All right.
So he's named after Bobby Bowden. So when you guys were questioning how to say his name, and I found out he was from Tallahassee, I was like, oh, I know exactly who he was named for. So I'm glad that they named the stadium Ron-Zook Field at Tallahassee. So thank you for that, Mr. Bowden. But yeah, so before we dig in, what did you think about what Travis Hunter? Because he was committed to Florida State until he wasn't committed to Florida State, right?
I know, it's crazy.
So did you see what Travis Hunter said about him? He said what he does in football is harder than what Ohtani does in baseball.
That's a tough take, right?
I mean, I think that's one of the worst takes I've ever heard.
Yeah, that can't be said.
Well, because Ohtani also plays. I mean,
But
yes,
it's way harder.
he plays way harder, and he does it every day.
That's true.
That's to me is the difference. Like,
Yeah.
Travis Hunter does it once a week.
Yeah.
And you play 100 snaps.
Uh-huh.
Ohtani throws 100 pitches, gets 5 at bats, 160 days a year.
And then he's got to pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
So imagine if you had to pitch 5, 6, 7, 8 innings, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, you're hitting the next 4 days, and then you're going to pitch
Lock
again.
it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your scouting.
Yeah, right? How hard would that be?
Stupid. I don't understand how he does it.
Could you hit?
No.
Oh, okay. So that's why you really don't understand.
And not a 9-hitter either, AJ. I want to make sure this part
No.
is emphasized too. Like, he was a top 3 hitter in the sport last year, being asked to carry the team on his back at times during the season.
Rehabbing, right?
He did win the
Rehabbing.
MVP last year, Scott.
Yeah,
50-50, by the
mentally,
way.
physically, I don't know how you do that, but he's an alien.
Have you haven't had TJ yet, have
No.
you? Okay. No, I'm not going. Sorry. Sorry.
Yet,
sorry.
he's
If
never
we had-
having it. Screw you.
No, I hope he'd be one of the few that doesn't. I really
know,
hope
I know, right?
that you don't. But
Yeah.
I'll spoil it. We had Jeff Hoffman in here,
Oh, yeah.
and
Cool.
we'll run the interview in a little bit. But his scar,
Big.
we showed his scar. It's nasty.
Is it? Yeah.
And I was like, people that think TJ is easy to come back from, show your arm. And the whole
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
it was like,
It's
it looked like a
crazy,
shark bite.
Nowadays, it's like, it's not a big deal, but it's still a big deal.
Yeah,
Guys,
yeah.
just being out for that long and being away from the team, it's tough. Mentally, I guarantee it. But I don't know.
I wouldn't want to go
I don't
through
want to do it.
it. I just get bored. I'd annoy the holy crap out of all my teammates because I wouldn't know what to do.
Uh-huh.
Because I
trying
can't
to
play, and I'm sitting there with the little thing on my brace, my arm, the big brace on my arm. And I'm like, hey guys, look at my brace. I can move it 1 more degree today. You guys notice anything?
And everyone else is like, we're trying to lock it.
Exactly.
Hey, what kind of conversations did you have to have with the org and Schneider to be able to get in the rotation? Because now you've solidified it. I mean, you don't give up a hit before the ninth inning, so you're just like, might as well. What kind of conversations did you have to have, or was it like, I'll just bide my time, pitch as good as I can, and not really say anything?
It was a little bit of both, but I definitely kind of was vocal with it, knowing that just my personality and how I want to get into a groove. I knew that starting would be more my speed. And, I told them, obviously, I want to do whatever I want the team to win. I want to get established. But I told them that I knew I'm going to start at some point in my career and I want to do it here. And I just want to kind of be in the role that I'm been in through the minor leagues and I'm most comfortable with. And, the trust just slowly started tinkering. And now it's at the point where they're telling me that, take the spring training, get my work in, and get ready for the season. It's going to be a long one.
What did they say? I mean, we know what you wanted, but what did they say? Because when AJ played and when I played, if you went to like front office or managers and you're like, hey, I want to do this, they'd be like, piss off. We'll take care of it. You just go out and play. How did they respond to you when you said, look, I'm going to pitch. I'm going to start one day for this organization, and then you're not going to take me out of it?
It wasn't I wasn't trying to step on any toes with that. I said that I will be whatever role as long as they want me to. But
as long as I get to start, I'll do any role as long as I get to start.
No, I told them like I'm open to whatever, but I just told them basically like I know I'm going to start in my career. I don't know if it's going to be here or wherever, but I just know in my heart and I'm like in my body, I know that I'm a starter at the end of this. And I just told them that's just like where my goal is, I guess. I was just open with my goals and then they listened to me and each spring training they gave me an option. I mean, they gave me a shot to do it and it just took in time. But I was grateful for the time they gave me and I thank them all the time for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, last year, 2 no-hitters into the night. Were you nervous? First of all, what happened? Like, we got to get one here, right? Eventually. Mm-hmm. So were you nervous the first one? Were you nervous the second one? Was there any part of your brain that started going like, man, I might actually get the no-hitter? How does it work? Because I've been on the other end of catching no-hitters, but I've never been in the mind of a pitcher as the no-hitter is happening.
The second one, I was thinking more about it. I was like, all right, this is actually the one. The first.
Do you remember
one,
who gave up a hit? Who you gave up a hit to?
Oh yeah, no.
Who was it?
Lindor got me the second time, but the first one was Ward. But the first one, like, I just felt like I just was grooving. I wasn't like a good flow. I didn't overthink it. I just knew that my pitches were up there, but I just kept telling myself, don't change, keep doing the same thing, keep attacking. And then I went out there for the ninth, and the crowd was going nuts, and I just started feeling like jello out there. But the second one is like I was more dialogue in my mind. Like I kind of felt more real because I've been through it. That's a couple of starts before that, and same exact thing happened. But it's just crazy. The guys it was something to laugh about, but it was frustrating at the time. But I knew that like games like that, it's you gotta just smile about them no matter what. But it was crazy.
What off-season story or narrative did you follow the most and you thought was the most exciting for the Jays? In the sense of, okay, could they get Roki? Is Vladdy going to resign? Whoa, I'm hearing Pete stuff. What that you followed the most or was most exciting, whichever?
I mean, I heard Santander like early, and that was my favorite pick, I thought, for us to get. And it's funny, that was the one we got. But just facing him last year, like even spring training, he's always given the Blue Jays a hard time. I like the way he plays and power from the left side. It's rare in the game, and obviously, Vladdy's a big one, and that's going to be always a talk this season. But it's we have this whole year for him, and it's going to be his decision, and it'll be cool to watch. But
Is that
I think
a distraction?
The big one was Anthony for me. It's not a distraction, no. The way he goes about his business and stuff it's never going to be about him. And I can even tell the minute he walked in the building. I mean, if you would have told me that he signed or not, I wouldn't be able to tell. It was seamless, and the way he is in the dugout during the games right now, he's all about the team. It's like he does a really good job of, I guess, harnessing that and separating all that off the field type stuff.
Vladdy or Bo?
Am I picking one?
Yeah, you can't say both. I'm just kidding.
You're saying
so rude.
Because the look on your face. Listen, his name's named after Bobby Bowden. He's got to get some tough questions, okay? So, I mean, the look on his face was priceless. So he's like, wait, what? Yeah, I don't know. Me? Okay. So you're a big yoga guy, right? Big yoga. Yeah. I mean, you have no shoes on, so you're obviously trying to ground yourself. I hope you don't step on one of these wires and electrocute yourself. Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Does that help you in your starts? Because you meditate, right? Yeah. You do a lot of things. I see you have the ring on. Mm-hmm. How does that help you not only in your starts, but just in life?
Yeah, I just realized, I guess, growing up and going through college and getting, like, I don't know, I just realized there was I just went down rabbit holes when I was not as good as a player as other guys around me. So I just tried to research a lot about the mind and flow and the body, mind-body connection, and how to put that all together. And then, I was like in lower levels, and I would have roller coaster starts. I would either strike out 10 or I would give up 10 hits, and it was like an emotional. So I just did some deep diving and try to figure out how to be more even keel and figure out how to be more present. And it just kept coming back to the breath and kept coming back to people talking about like the mind body connection and how to become more of a flow state. And yoga's with all about, like, really ties into that. And then meditation ties into that, how to harness guys around base, second and third, 2 outs, how to not worry about that. And it's so much easier said than done. So yeah. I think just working on that stuff off the field has helped me tremendous, for me to toe the rubber with guys on and know that it's about this pitch, and it just helps me kind of get into that groove.
As the most inflexible person on the planet, I used to do yoga, and I'm sure your yoga is much smoother than mine would.
The body is one, but the mind is a whole other component that we don't even think about when we think about yoga. Some people just think about it's about stretching, but I try to think of it about 80% of it's more mental than the body. I think if you build, like they say, if you build a strong mind, the body will follow. So I just try to really think about that more.
Bowden, I have a question for you. So yoga is about controlling your breath, or that's part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you find any solace in the last couple months of the season in being able to control your schedule more, right? Because you go from reliever, you never know when you're going to be used. You have to be ready at all times. You can really set yourself for that one big day that you're about to have. And just kind of leading also into what changed for you as a starter. It's not like you hadn't done it before, but did you feel like you learned something about yourself that enabled you to consistently take down hitters better than ever in that roll down the stretch?
Yeah. There's a big buildup with starting, and that whole day of you get to the park and it's just a slow buildup. It's not the same in the bullpen where it's, you're kind of sitting around and then all of a sudden your name's called. But having that whole day to prepare and let that slow burn kind of go until the game time, it's my favorite part. Yeah, and it's about game planning and visualization is big for me. So I'm just going through the lineup and just slowly figuring out how to navigate that and use my arsenal to the best I can. That's been fun for me, is just figuring out how to optimize my arsenal and kind of game plan, because it's more of like more of a chess for me than that, because a lot of guys can just kind of blow heaters by guys, but I'm going to have to be more crafty and kind of use all my pitches. So it's kind of fun for me to game plan and figure out what's best for me.
I like it. By the way, we're going to show your shirt you have on. You were born in '96, by the way. So you have – how do you have that shirt? It's a repeat, 92, 93. Last time the Blue Jays won World Series back-to-back. But how do you have that shirt? Because you weren't born even when they won those 2 World Series.
I do a lot of thrifting and stuff. There's great vintage shops in Toronto, so I try to scope them out. But I don't know. I just try to wear stuff like this because guys see it, and then I feel like we're manifesting it, trying to bring a ring to the city, and I feel like trying to see if guys can catch on to just law of attraction, I guess.
Thrifting?
Thrifting, yeah.
So that's where you get a lot of your outfits?
Yeah,
what's your go-to?
eBay.
Then what's your go-to thrift store? Like bell bottoms? Corduroy? Because when you walk into a thrift store, what rack are you going for?
There's a bunch of different things. I like old shirts. I like old Dickie pants are fun to rock. Some old button downs I try to get fun with on the plane rides and stuff.
Have they had a Bowden Francis dress up day yet, where everyone has to dress like you?
No, we had a Chappie one, and it's similar, basically. But no, guys they like to wear their Bowden shirt. Some days they'll be like, "Whoa, look at me." Yeah, it's fun. Guys find it funny, but yeah, they like it though.
So you can pull that off. I'm not. It just doesn't look good on me. You're more the skinny model type. I'm more the fat. What's this guy wearing that shirt for? Look.
No, you can rock it. I think you can rock it.
I don't know. Next time I'm in Toronto, he's going to take me to the thrift store. We're going to see what we can find.
There you go. Yeah, I like that. He's got the tats too. So Bowden's got the look. I like it, man. Well, appreciate it, dude. Great to have you on. Love the shirt. Love the attitude. And we'll do it again sometime this season. But appreciate the time, dude. And good luck the rest of spring.
Appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, same here. Bowden Francis with us on FT. His manager, John Schneider, on with us next. All right, FT fam, we're back. John Schneider interview in a few minutes. We do have one injury that's fresh from today that sucks. Sean Murphy cracked a rib when he was hit by a pitch on Friday. The Braves say he's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Top prospect Drake Baldwin likely to get an opportunity to begin the season as the starting catcher for the Atlanta Braves. This according to David O'Brien of The Athletic. Ooh, that's a big jump in to join a team like that too, Kratz. But this is their guy, Baseball America, top prospect. We actually have a great video on him that you can check out if it's not up there now, pretty soon on the Baseball America channel. But can you describe what this will be like for a young, highly regarded prospect to take over at the start of the season?
Tough. Right now, Drake Baldwin's sitting there going, if he heard that news this weekend, he's drinking water from a fire hose right now. Not saying he's not ready, just more of the idea that you have to lead this team. They're going to tell you, well, just be yourself, just be who you are. But he's got to take over a role that he's done in the minor leagues. And it's not just a seamless transition. You're learning a lot of things. You're getting a crash course on a lot of stuff. But fortunately, Sean Murphy, I assume, will be around. And he is a pro's pro who will be able to help him navigate this. This is why teams spend a little extra cash for a really good backup, though. Like a Kyle Higashioka, like the Braves have done for the last 19 years on Travis d'Arnaud. Like, this is why you do it, because playoff aspiration, World Series aspiring team can't miss 6 weeks of their starting catcher. So there's a lot put on his shoulders here to, boom, start the season.
Yeah. And, we're still several weeks away from the season starting, so we'll do the math and, maybe Sean Murphy won't miss that much time. The one thing I'll point out is don't sleep on numbers for catchers in the postseason, especially nowadays. If you look, there was a great article about how catchers kind of suck, most of them, at hitting in October because they wear down. So I'm just like, the Braves should be a playoff team. And if this dude is legit, how do I get him from opening day through October to still be his best self? Most teams have not cracked that case yet, even with veterans. The catching stats, hitting wise, now more than ever, plummet in the playoffs. So how do you keep a rookie in a good spot? Francisco Alvarez, example A. You just saw that with the Mets this past October. We've got Blue Jays skipper John Schneider with us right now on Foul Territory. Schneid, how's camp going for you?
So far, so good. Guys are healthy, and nice to have some veteran guys in here around the group we already have. Good personalities we brought into with, Tony, Max, Jimenez. It's been really good. Can't complain so far.
Today the hardest day. Today's the hardest day.
First day of send downs, so you don't like that. And
are you the shoulder tapper guy, or do you send someone else to shoulder tap?
I've graduated from shoulder tapper guy to just having a shoulder tapper guy to come see me.
Oh,
so that part is, it's never easy. But
have you ever had anyone hide? Because there used to be, I knew when you'd like go hide. You try to man, I really have to use the bathroom for 2 hours
for
today.
2 days.
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever they see me kind of wandering around the clubhouse just to see if they're here, they get a little squirrely. Yeah. Yeah. But no hiding. No hiding yet.
There's only 7 million rooms to hide in this complex, so
you can hide anywhere.
You can hide behind the barber chair,
hide in the float tank. You can do whatever you want here.
Hold your breath, have a little snorkel.
It's a float tank, not a drown tank. Do they sit outside? Do you have somebody like they used to? Because you're still at the minor league side. No, they don't sit out in the parking lot and wait for the reaper.
Do you remember those days? Those were brutal. No, we let them get in. We let them get in, get settled, and try not to get, too involved in their day. But it's a little bit different than when we were playing together here.
Well, hold on. What do you mean they sat? You had to sit in the parking lot? Yeah,
we had minor leagues. Years ago, we had coaches waiting in the parking lot. So as you're walking in to start your day, this was not getting reassigned or
this was getting sent home.
You're getting released. So you always kind of knew, damn, there's that guy. All right, let me take a different route in or. If he followed you, you're in trouble.
Because we used to just have the, you'd walk in, Major League, there was the pink tag.
Really?
That actually was a real thing.
Oh, way easier. I don't know.
The pink tag? Well, no, the problem with the pink tag is that everyone walks in and they see the pink tag and they're like, dang, that's my buddy that's getting sent home. He gone. He had a nice 2-year run in A-ball.
Oh, man. Yeah, so
since we have – no, go ahead. Go ahead, Schneider.
No, it's a tough day. It gets tougher as camp goes on, though.
Yeah, oh yeah. Because then you're sending down guys that
have
played for you or really legit had a shot to make the team.
Exactly.
I don't envy that at all.
No, it's no fun.
And you tell everyone, do you have the standard lines you have to use as a manager? Because every manager has the standard line. You just got to work on your plate discipline or strike zone judgment. If you're a pitcher, just need to throw more strikes, control, command more pitches.
Correct. There's definitely some consistent lines being thrown out. But all within what they're working on, So I try to say, make the decision hard, but don't worry about opening day. Worry about getting yourself better, and if it works out, it works out. So we got a bunch of good guys here too, so it's always a little bit tough as you go on.
A lot's changed since you and I were in the old complex. Now it's the new complex. Do you have more communication than? I mean, I just saw Dick Scott's bench coach, JP Arencibia, when I was over at Mets camp. And so it's kind of bringing back a bunch of old memories. Do you guys communicate more with the players now than, say, even 10 years ago when you were still managing in the bushes?
Yeah, I think, it's constant, day to day, multiple times a day. And I think as players get older, they want to kind of know what's going on, the ins and outs of every day. So we try to keep them as in the loop as we can. And that's one of the, if not the biggest part of this job, is trying to be in constant communication with everyone, especially your veteran guys, and just really kind of touching base with at least a few of them a day. So it is hard here with all of the rooms you can duck into, or food room, whatever it is, but we kind of go out of our way to stay in touch with these guys.
I mean, you guys have a sports bar outside.
Yeah,
with big screen TVs. I mean, it's not exactly like, some random club. I mean, there's a sports bar like right behind us here, which is amazing.
They've done a good job.
Yes. All right. You talked about in constant communication. How I know you talk to the front office all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How much communication do you have with who they bring in? Because you guys made some big additions.
Yep.
And then also there's 2 guys that are potentially free agents at the end of the year.
We have to, really?
So how much communication do you go to them and say, guys, I Bo and Vladdy, they're just not going to cut it, guys. Like, we should just let them walk. We should trade them now, guys.
No, I haven't said that one yet, but a lot of back and forth. Off season, this time of year in spring training, it's a lot of constant discussions with Ross, the entire team, the entire baseball ops team. It's been cool. I think, thinking to the off season, we were kind of in on everyone, like everyone knows. And I think talking through how that player would fit, that's a big part of it, whether meeting him on Zoom or meeting him in person, a big part of it. So it's nice that, sorry, I keep falling out here. It's nice that
you don't have to hear Kratz or
right. We have that good dialogue. I think as the more you do this, the more comfortable you are with saying, hey, this isn't going to work, or I don't see how he's going to fit. So it's kind of a group effort, and I love the guys we did bring in.
Schneids, now you got to tell us, because we're always talking about all these meetings everybody's having. 3-hour meeting for the dev, all the development stuff. And, do I want to sign here because of this guy or that guy? Can you tell us about the Roki meeting or meetings? Did you go to one or did you go to 2 of them?
Yeah, we did 2. One out in LA at his agency. And then I think it was about 10 days later, he came up to Toronto with a big group of people. So it was cool. It's cool to get to know the person, right? We know the player, especially in his case, well documented what he can do. And in free agency, like anything, there's so much that goes into it. We obviously, if you're going after someone, we think the skill set's going to fit. And then you try to get to know the person a little bit and how we can help him continue to develop in the big leagues, in Roki's case. So it was a big effort by a lot of different people. We had players come up and meet him. We had Zoom calls going on with a lot of different people in the organization, and it was pretty in depth. He came with a big group of people from his camp, and it was cool to get to know him and how he worked. And unfortunately, didn't work out, but it was 3 days, I think, in Toronto after a quick trip out to LA.
Okay, I got to ask, because now we're talking about Roki, his teammate who won the MVP last year, Shohei. Were you at the airport when the jet landed with like flowers and chocolates, and then you realized it wasn't Shohei?
No, it wasn't there. I was home. I remember seeing that, and I was like, I think I would know if Shohei's flying. And had a good laugh with all that stuff that was going on social media. But no, I was here for the meeting in Dunedin.
Okay, because he did. No, it was very secretive, but we did confirm he was in Dunedin.
We confirm. Yeah, I can break that or confirm that right now. But yeah, he came here. Just with his agent and his dog, and it was a good 4 or 5 hours, and that was it. But was not at the airport waiting for the private jet to land at Pierzynski.
Okay. That would have been great, by the way, if you were just sitting there and it's like, oh wait, that's not him.
That's not him.
These are for someone else. He ran over to the next plane. No, these are for you. We mentioned Vlad earlier, and Bo obviously are free agents. Now Vlad put kind of a timestamp on when negotiations when that came and went. Did you have a conversation with? Did you sit down with them and say, "Hey, we still want you. I still obviously want you and need you," or did it just kind of go and went unsaid?
I mean, I've known Vladdy for a long time, so a brief conversation. Like for me, it's the business part is the business part, the baseball part's my part. So it's a little bit different with guys you have relationships with, but I think it was a flyby. Hey, how you doing? Just checking in, really. So. He's been great throughout the whole offseason and through the whole process, and I think he's grown up a lot, even from last year to this year. So understands the business part of it, and he's focused on being here this year with us and winning. So Disappointing, yeah, for sure, but it's not for a lack of effort on both ends. I can tell you that, and we're just looking for a big year out of him.
Can you tell us just your relationship, where it started with Vlad? Because people don't understand how long you and Vlad have been together. Like, it was the four-headed monster. It was Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, Vlad Jr., and John Schneider. But how much has he changed in that time? But also tell us, like, when you started working with him and started managing and coaching him.
Met him right when he signed. He was 16, and I think he went and played with our buddy Dennis Holmberg in Bluefield. And you meet him in spring training. You kind of get to know him. Great guy, obviously, great kid. And it was 2017 where I had him for the first time in the Florida State League. Him and Bo came up after the Futures game that year. So I think really kind of diving into the work with him that year and watching what they had to go through as teenagers. They're getting followed around by cameras and they're doing stories every day. So he's 18 years old handling all this stuff. So that year, 2017, had him in 2018 in AA with that same group. And then obviously since 2019 in the big leagues, we've been together, and I still throw BP to him most days. And to watch him go from, Vlad Jr. to, son of a Hall of Famer to where he is now, kind of creating his own brand, if you will, has been awesome. Wise beyond his years, has a ton of fun playing the game, respected not only in this building, but around the league. So it's been cool to kind of, be there with him throughout the first part of his career.
He's a free agent at the end of the year. And you kind of brought it up, and we've talked about it a ton on the show. You guys are in on everybody.
Right.
What does it take to get over the hump with guys? Because you did bring in Scherzer, you brought in Santander, you brought in Hoffman. But what does it take to get over the hump? Is it because I didn't play in Toronto as a home player, as a Blue Jay, but I played as a guest. And it was always great.
It's awesome.
It's a great city. It's fun. It's just as big as Boston and New York or whatever city you want to compare it to. It has everything you could want.
Yeah.
So what is it? Is it just, do you think there's a stigma about like, oh, I got to go to Canada?
Probably.
Because I know guys like Mark Burley's one of my good friends. He played there. He loved playing there.
Yeah.
Kratz has played there. Kratz loved playing there. Guys love playing there when they get there. So you just think there's something that's been put out there that, man, I don't know about that.
Probably a little bit, right? Just because you're only a team in a different country. That gets discussed when we're on Zoom calls or meeting with people. But I think the fit just has to be right. The fit has to be right from a team perspective and a personal perspective. When you hit free agency, that the player's driving the bus, right? So where's spring training in relation to home? What is my family going to be like up in Toronto? What obstacles may they have, if any? And I think going back to when guys do get there, they realize, the team we've assembled there for players' families is unmatched.
I heard you guys have the kids have their own clubhouse,
it's
right?
Crazy.
With slides
it's a
and
two-story pottery barn, I call it. It's the best in baseball. So once players get there, I think they go, okay, this is great. There's probably a little bit of a opinion beforehand, but the city itself, the fan base itself, I'm going to get this thing. I'm going to figure it out.
That's fine.
Sooner or later.
Your ears are too fat, so it doesn't go in.
The fan base, the city, it's amazing. So having guys like Bassett, Gosman, Hosey, Bo, Vlad kind of be people for the city has been cool. But I think the player has to fit and the person has to fit too.
Wait, they upgraded the kids' room? It used to be an absolute cave.
Oh, totally upgraded. We're talking 2 stories, slide, ball pit, video games, cubbies, full kitchen.
Don't they have every kid have their own locker with a Blue Jays nameplate?
Yeah, they go above and beyond. So we do have a lot of kids on our team. A lot of guys have young children, so we kind of leaned into it a little bit with the resources that we can provide. So it's awesome. I have 2 kids, 8-year-old and a 6-year-old boy, and they fit right in. So it's a pretty cool environment.
All right, we talked about the one two-headed monster of the kids. What about Bo? What does Bo need to do to bounce back? What's his goal, obviously, but also what's the organization's view of hey, you need to do this more or get back to doing this?
Bo's gonna have a big year, I think. I don't want to put pressure on him, and he doesn't really feel that kind of pressure, but he just needs to be aggressive. He needs to be himself in the batter's box. He looks great so far. I think his goals are to, just help us win, right? So as he goes, kind of we go too. But he looks like himself. He's had such a successful track record. With the hiccup last year, you feel really confident that he's going to pick up where he has been really his whole career. So battled injuries last year, and battled some things with his swing. He's hit it off with our no-hitting coach, David Popkins, and he looks great right now. So he's obviously a big part of it, right in the middle of the defense and right at the top of the order in some way, shape, or form. So I'm just excited for him to kind of get back to playing free and playing aggressive.
How do you guys win the
Marshall,
sorry.
Go ahead, AJ.
Go ahead, Kratzy. How do you guys win the East? I mean, listen, it's obviously the Yankees, Orioles, you guys, the Red Sox made improvements, the Rays are the Rays. They just somehow, no matter what happens, the Rays figure it out. How do you guys win the East? Because if you look at your team, you're like, they have a shot.
Sure.
Because of your pitching, because of your lineup, if everyone is right.
Right.
So how do you do it? What's the key for you guys this year? What's let's say 2 things that have to happen for you guys to go where you want to go?
It's health first and foremost, obviously, and it's winning in margins. It's the marginal games that how can we make a difference? So every team is projected to win X amount of games, right? The goal is to always outperform that. So how do we do that? What are things that we didn't do last year, whether it was base running, situational hitting, whatever it may be? The talent is definitely here, and it's you can kind of predict probably some close games. We have a really good pitching staff, and we have a really good bullpen that's been totally remade. So we're going to have a shot every single night. So it's how do you execute in the highest leverage spot of the game? How can I get the best guys in those situations consistently, whether it's lineup construction or bullpen deployment? And you got to win some, you got to make some plays, and you have to make some really, really high baseball IQ plays that go unnoticed at times.
One of the guys that makes a lot of high baseball IQ plays is Dalton Varsho. You're not going to have him for how long, do you know? And how's that recovery going? Because you guys are built on that defense, and that's gold.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think best outfield or best defensive outfielder in baseball and best defensive infielder in baseball with him. So Varsh, I'm not putting a timetable on it. He's been ahead of schedule since about November. And he's kind of chomping at the bit. He's DH 2 games. He's hit 2 homers. But we want the whole, his whole game there. He's a difference maker on the bases, obviously in center field. So we'll see. We're taking it in like 3 or 4 day buckets. And if he keeps checking things off the list, great. If it's April 10th, great. We want him to be healthy throughout the entire season. And it's a significant procedure he's coming off of. So he was here all winter, basically, not all winter, but he checked in a lot down here to try to speed this thing up, and he's nailed it so far. So he's about 120 feet throwing. He's done that for a few days, and hopefully in the next week or so, he's throwing to the bases, see how that goes. And we're really kind of just playing it by ear, but so far, knock on wood, it's been really good.
Okay, is Jeff Hoffman your closer?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. That's all.
So.
That's it. We just had to ask because
Yeah.
he's not so.
I like having roles in today's game. Some nights will be different. Yeah, sure. If it's
his 4th day in a row, you might say, "Hey, we're going to try some. We might try Yimmy or
right,
someone else."
We got Yimmy, we got Chad. Those guys can do that too. But I think if it's, and we talked about this, after he signed, if it's, you're facing New York and you see, Judge and Stanton coming up in the 8th inning, it's like, hey, Hoff, you got this tonight, and we can kind of backfill the 9th accordingly with other guys.
Okay, yesterday's game, something funny happened at the beginning of the game. First pitch.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Trey Turner did this on purpose to Max. Why does Max hate the ABS so much?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? I mean,
that pitch is pretty much right down the middle.
Well, come to find out, Trey. I mean, this was planned, obviously. So Brendan Miller, the home plate umpire, he told us after the half inning, it was discussed at the plate meeting. Trey's going to challenge the first pitch no matter what. I'm surprised Max didn't chuck one behind him and then challenge that or something. Knowing him and Trey's relationship, but Max is. He likes things in a very particular way, is the best way to say it. And he has his opinions about a lot of stuff in the game, and rightfully so. He's most likely a Hall of Famer. So
most likely, no, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, there's no most likely.
Yeah,
he quits today. Trust me, he's getting in.
So he's that was funny yesterday, and it kind of sums up him, I think, in a nutshell.
Did you give him a high five?
No,
Not even after that?
when he was done.
Because at that point, like after that first inning, everyone was chuckling. That would have been your shot.
I don't know. I'm working through that. I'm working through the high five, but he was. I mean, he kind of got locked up by Trey doing that. He thought Trey was going to swing first pitch and try to dig him deep. So you don't really see Max laughing on the mound too much. Spring training a little bit different, but yesterday was pretty fun.
I mean, it's one of those moments where you look back and what makes playing so much fun, right? And then spring training, because you can kind of do things you would never get away with.
Right.
So I just thought that it was hilarious when especially for Trey, someone he knows and played with. They won a World Series together.
Kevin Long was over there in the dugout that they know well,
egging
too.
it on. I'm sure
it was good.
So how long did it take you to learn that Max doesn't do high fives? Does he come in when he signed here? Does he send a text like no high fives on start days? Don't talk to me on start days.
We've heard all of the stories about his start days. It's obviously different in spring training, right? So I'm waiting for that switch to flip, March 27th, whatever it is, or whenever he's slotted to pitch. We've heard about kind of his hour-to-hour, minute-by-minute routine. But no, he didn't. I didn't know about the high five till his first outing. And you kind of learn something new from him every day. He usually wanders into my office for anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes every single day, and we kind of just go at it. So you learn something new with him every day for sure.
Is he so it's kind of nice to have a Hall of Famer as your fifth starter, right?
I mean, not bad.
Because if you go Gosman, Barrios, Bassett, Francis, and then Max. So,
and
I mean, as your fifth starter, I mean, he's pretty good.
I'll take it every day. Right? But he looks great. I mean, Pete and I are excited about where he is physically, and what he's brought to the guys in the clubhouse has been phenomenal.
See, Kratz wants to know if you just broke that Max is your opening day starter, and
I just called
him your fifth starter. So I don't know. It's hard to go, Kratz. It's hard to go from opening day to fifth starter. Yeah.
The cool thing about him,
I get it.
Like, I don't care where I pitch. You know, he's like, I want to pitch. So if it's opening day, great. If it's the fifth starter, great. He doesn't really care. But we got to start lining him up here soon with how it's going to look.
Got it. Well, thank you very much, Nides. I know Kratz, this made Kratz's year, maybe. I don't know, month, year, I don't know. But he you know what the best part is? Not one point did he say that you were his first roommate. Yeah. So I'm going to say it for him. Erik Kratz's first professional roommate.
Right here.
Here he is. Congratulations. Good luck to the Jays this year.
Thank you, AJ. Appreciate it.
What is it? Let's go, Blue Jays.
Let's
play
ball.
I've heard that a few times. Yeah. Heard that a few times.
Okay.
That's nice right there, Kratzy. That's nice.
I've seen it a couple times.
Injury sucks, starring the New York Yankees. There are 3. Giancarlo Stanton's going to start the season on the IL. PRP injections on both elbows. The Yanks reportedly had some combos with JD Martinez to fill that righty hitting DH slot. JD with a down second half, but was pretty good in the first half with the Mets. That's 1. Number 2, DJ LeMahieu, tweaked calf. High, get Nolan Arenado on the line and the St. Louis Cardinals. And number 3, AJ, Luis Heel is temporarily shut down. So hello, Marcus Stroman. No debate there.
Well, first of all, I thought JD Martinez was a pickleball player now, because everything I see on social media is that he wants to be a pickleball player when he retires. And then, yes, maybe Arenado knew something when he snuck up to Tampa the other day, although he said it was to see Goldschmidt and some other players. And then the biggest one to me is the Luis Hill injury, because that's a starting member, the rookie of the year, and that's a starting pitcher, and no team, I don't care how many starters they say they have, even the Dodgers have enough starting pitching to get through a year. You can only sustain so many injuries. So yes, they're lucky they have Marcus Stroman, and guess what, Marcus? You're going to get to be a starter like you wanted now at the beginning of the year.
Hopefully these things aren't super severe. Again, it's a World Series aspiring team. I don't like load management, any of that stuff, but when this stuff creeps up in spring training, nip it in the bud. You can get like 10 at-bats in one day on field 3 and 4. I know AJ said he never liked that, and it's not the same. All these guys are vets. The one that I think is going to hurt them the most is the heel injury. Yes, it alleviates the Stroman stuff, but this guy carried this team last year, and a lot of the pitching staff did too when Garrett Cole was out. A lot of people forget he was out to start the season last year, and this dude stepped up and almost was the starting pitcher for the American League in the All-Star game. So, yeah, you don't love seeing that, especially with a younger guy too.
For me, third base is still a problem. I mean, you're allowed to have a more of a question mark, a weaker spot. But if you're the Yanks and you want to be the best team in the American League, there's a hole there. Who's playing third? Who's a starting third baseman?
Who's on first, Scott?
Yeah, who is on first?
Goldie.
And what's on second?
Jazz.
I don't know who's on third. Third, Scott, just so you know.
I don't know who's playing third.
Okay, well, he's not that good. He's a negative win player.
So okay, so then let's answer the question. If you're the Yankees, do you go trade for Arenado?
Yes, I do.
Wow, okay.
Got to keep up with the Dodgers, but they can't afford it. We've got Alek Manoah, Jay's starter on FT. Alek, great to have you on here for the first time, actually, in one of the best interviews in baseball. How you doing, and how's the recovery process going, man?
Yeah, man. First off, thank you guys for having me. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Excited to be on the show with you guys, and I'm feeling great, man. Arms feeling amazing. Rehab's been great. So excited to start getting out there.
What's the day? What's the day we're going to see you on a mound?
Well, I feel
like against hitters. Now I know,
Yeah.
like against other teams, other teams hitters.
I start bullpens. So this is the first week of like back-to-backs. So that's like a pretty big deal. And then next week I start at the end of the week, get off the mound, and then from there it's kind of feels a little bit more normal. Like bullpens twice a week. Some heavy days, some lighter days, work on the mechanics a little bit, and then probably about 3 months from there sometime, probably start facing, hitters, some IBPs.
Are you bored?
No, I found ways to keep myself
well, I was gonna say,
busy.
because in spring training, everyone's running around, I got to catch a bus, I got to throw a pen, and
Yeah.
you're just kind of like, oh, well, I don't know what.
I'm like, I'm going to run over here and watch pens. I'm going to run over here and do PFPs.
You're like, I get to throw 90 feet today, guys. It's a big day.
Yeah, huge day. Like today I went up to Chad Green. He's been helping me a ton through this, and obviously he just went through it previously, and I'm like, hey man, big week. I got back-to-back days today. He's like, whoa. So only the guys that have been through it kind of understand, but I find ways to stay busy.
All right, that's good. That's good. Apparently you didn't go to a barber while you have been on.
No, we're just letting it flow.
How
I like
long?
it.
Yeah, I think it's been about 2 years now. Yeah,
Sheesh.
Not one trim or anything, so just letting it flow.
Man, wow. Do you ever like think about a ponytail? You gonna go do rag underneath?
I got the ponytail.
Oh, you got the
Oh yeah,
scrunchie?
he's good.
Yeah, it comes out once I get to the weight room.
Oh, does it? You're not a headband guy.
No, not big on the headbands.
Okay, not the Bryce Harper headband that keeps it out.
I don't know. Maybe
Maybe?
not there yet.
Okay.
The whole hair flip and stuff.
Yeah.
Not that used to it yet.
Okay. All right.
All right, Alek, I got a question for you. We watched you probably, to me, one of the best moments in the All-Star game where you were mic'd up. That confidence, that like swag and everything. At what point did you lose that swag and then gain it back in the sense of like in everyday life? Because you've been through injuries, you've been, you pitch for like an hour and a half once every 5 days. So,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like in everyday life, that like same Alek Manoah that we saw in the All-Star game.
Yeah, man. I think definitely, sometimes like, especially at the highest level, when you go through kind of some turmoil out on the field, it could be a little bit tough, especially, dealing with some injuries and things like that. And for me, it's been great to kind of go through that a little bit and to kind of, you kind of got to know what kind of person you are and kind of just keep that foundation, but at the same time, just continue to learn and to grow about yourself, which is something that I feel like I've been able to do. Sometimes you got to get punched in the mouth. You got to get kicked down to know how to get up, Those are things that you can't really mimic or practice. Those are things that you got to go through to learn. So for me, it's been a great journey. And for me, being able to have my family around me, some really great teammates, and just really amazing people in my corner that are always pushing me and supporting me. I kind of feel like it allows me to continue to have my swag and my confidence, even if we're dealing with some injuries and we're kind of going through it a little bit,
What happened? Because you were, like Kratz, you said, you were on top of the world, and then all of a sudden you're in AAA.
Yeah.
Not long after.
Yeah.
What like, did something change? Because everyone, we've heard all the things, like whatever you want to say, what happened, but you tell us, because I mean, it was like from here, and then all of a sudden where's AAA? Syracuse?
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Well, I think definitely, obviously, came off of the most innings I've ever thrown before. Coming off of the year previous to that, the most innings I've ever thrown before. And I'm always the kind of guy that's going to take the ball, man. I want to go out there and compete. I want to go out there and fight for my guys. And, sometimes like your body just isn't able to do it, and, for me, after 22, I dealt with, some stuff. I feel like injury-wise, my shoulder, my leg, have some health stuff. And, sometimes like you try and put that in the rear view and like, I can go do this. Like, I just got in the league and, I'm up here, like, okay, what does it matter if I'm at 60%? What does it matter if I'm at 70%? I'm going to go out there and compete. But when you're focused on yourself and you're not focused on how to get Mike Trout out, like you're kind of fighting yourself while fighting him, and it's hard. And, obviously you've played and, and for me, it was just something where, I kept going through that year. Like, it's going to click. It's going to click. It's going to click. I'm going to find it. I was a little behind in camp and, it just never clicked for me. And then, obviously the struggles of the day to day, it could be like that. And obviously we're a contending team, so any other organization, probably I would have gone through some of those headaches, still at the big league level. But, this team's trying to win a World Series every year and there's really no time for that. So, I feel like everybody kind of needs that come into life moment. And, you kind of got to get punched in the mouth to know what you're made of and to know what you're built like. So for me, it's about, there's a lot of people that don't even get to that height of the mountain. So for me to be able to get there and yeah, you know what, we struggled and yeah, there's a lot of people that can say what they want or opinions and that doesn't matter. Cause for me, I know I'm working my butt off, each and every day to be right back there again and help this team win.
You kind of alluded to it. We talk about, like, I hate when guys are like, oh, he was rushed to the big leagues. Would it have been better if you got that adversity, hit that adversity while you were in the minor leagues and not in the big leagues?
No, not at all. That everybody goes through a learning curve when they get to the big leagues, right? Everybody goes through a learning curve from single A to double A, from double A to triple A, from triple A to the big leagues. So, that learning curve, clearly I didn't need it at the minor league level. And, that's why our front office and everybody and where our team was in 2021, when I did come up, this is where my development, my learning curve was going to come. So for me, there's no regret on that. And, and I'll never say like, oh, they should have had me on that's, like I'm going to take on, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to compete as hard as I can. And, whatever the outcome is, and I'm still going to do that. So really all the outside noise, top of the world, bottom of the world, none of that matters to me. In hindsight, in 20 years, I know I'm going to look back and be like, hey, there were some ups, there were some downs, but it was a good career. And that's what I hope to be able to say, to be able to do. And for me, it's a part of the story to be able to help the next generation. It's something I really like to do. And, sometimes when it's all apples and oranges and it's really easy, man, there's really not something that you can help that next guy that is dealing with something. So for me, it's part of my story. It'll be a part of how I'm able to help people and just continue to work my butt off to be right back where we need to be.
Alek, I'm going to take us back to the origin of that question when they're talking about you at the All-Star game being mic'd up, which was awesome. I'm a fan, right? I'm the non-player here, host on the show. So I'm always looking for that access. How do you think MLB can, better market players and our sport and get the sport, back more to what it was in the 80s and 90s, just in terms of popularity, right? And being able to go toe to toe with football and basketball and get the national coverage that it deserves, which is what we do every day.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you guys are, obviously doing a great job, I think obviously the analytics in the game are great. But I think the biggest thing is we all started off as kids with a dream, and everybody that's playing in the big leagues, I hope, is a kid that's living their dream, And there's a lot of kids right now that are dreaming to be where we're at. And I remember myself, as a kid, like, man, I'm a romantic about baseball. And I used to wake up at 6, 7 in the morning and just watch SportsCenter reruns every 30 minutes, growing up until my parents woke up, until there was any action in the house. But it was just a lot easier to kind of understand which players were really good. Like you saw Bonds and Sosa and McGuire and all these guys hitting 50, 60 homers. The batting average, I don't know. I feel like it was just a little bit easier to understand, for kids. And I think that's the big thing, for the marketing stuff, is like, we got all these alphabet, statistics and analytics up there that I don't even understand them at 27 years old, some of them, so how are we going to convince a 7-year-old, like, hey, no, this is how it's calculated? And so I just think kind of like simplifying it a little bit. And, I feel like the league does a great job of trying to show off our personalities. That's something that I feel like some of the other leagues do a really good job of, kind of not just pinning us as, just baseball players, baseball pants and a jersey and a hat on, but more about our families and who we are off the field and the things we like to do. So I feel like when fans are able to engage in those behind the scenes, they feel like they're kind of going through it with us and, learning about who we are, not just the fastball or the slider or the home run or he's fast. And I feel like that really helps grow the game.
All right. Did you see Travis Hunter's comments about Shohei Ohtani, whose job is tougher?
Yeah, I did see that. See that.
Which do you think is tougher? His job, Travis Hunter's job, or Shohei Ohtani's job?
I mean, what he does is pretty remarkable. He goes out there and plays both sides of the ball and a ton of snaps and, plays 200 snaps a game or whatever. I feel like that's pretty tough physically, but at the same time, it's basically like he's playing the same position, but on other sides of the ball. Whereas, Shohei's playing two completely different positions, two completely different sides of the ball, hitting, pitching. Obviously as a baseball player, I have to say what Shohei does is definitely harder. I think mentally it's harder. Travis on the physical side might be harder, but just the fact that he's, rehabbing TJ and just won an MVP on the offensive side is pretty impressive. So, I got to say what he's doing is harder.
I'm all in. It wasn't hard, though, Kratz and Scott. Austin, my son, he's a senior in high school. They recently played South Dade and whooped their ass 9-3. So
did they?
bragging rights are nice. And he went to South.
Yeah, they miss Alek. That's why they miss Alek.
They got one ring. And I was on that team. So.
Oh, there you go. Nice. I got one ring too. And so we're good. We're even.
Exactly. Well, Alek, this was awesome to have you on here. Hopefully we'll catch you again during the season, and good luck with the rehab as you keep going there, man. We're excited to see you back.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
FT fam, we'll be right back with Jeff Hoffman, new closer for the Jays. Did you guys see this Yandy Diaz quote to Mark Topkin in his article, The Interpreter? Quote, in previous years, there was always one or two guys that they kind of do whatever they want to do, talking about the Rays. Quote, so it's good that he talks about that, and that's what we're trying to do this year so we can have a good chemistry in the clubhouse. Talking about how the Jays are going to try to work on team bonding and all that. A lot of people in the comments were like, Randy, Rosarena, and Yandy didn't get along. Might be referred to a few others in the past as well. Obviously, Wander Franco had his issues and whatever. I'm not going to start speculating on who it was, but many people called out Randy in particular not getting along with Yandy. Not irregular for two teammates to not see eye to eye, AJ, but could that hold back chemistry and team performance? I know you're not always the biggest person on that. You're like, you can hate each other and still slug and be a good team.
No, but I thought it was, we all kind of guess who he's talking about because you're going to make these assumptions. But I just look back to when Randy last year got traded and he went and sat in the stands instead of flying to his next game. Those are what happened. So, there's things that happen in the course of seasons in the course of careers that sometimes don't always rub people the right way. And Yandy is expressing his feelings. We don't know who he's talking about. We can only assume, but it's just a weird dynamic to have Yandy Diaz come out because Kratz played with Yandy, so he knows everything I've heard about Yandy. He's a nice guy. He's a great guy. So to hear him say some of the things, maybe he's taking that next step as a leader for the Rays.
This is big to hear Yandy say this. I mean, if you don't get along with Yandy, if you find out like you're one of the one or two guys that he's talking about, like you're really doing something wrong because this dude is so chill. Yes, obviously he's going to go in and do his biceps and lift and everything. This guy just wants to go out and play baseball. He has a great time. I've never seen anybody get into it with Yandy or like even like piss him off. He is super chill. So you got to be doing something egregious to have Yandy say something like this. But I love it. I love leader Yandy.
Mm-hmm. It's hard for me because I also want players to be themselves and be fun with fans. But I get how that can cause a problem sometimes. Your teammates might not want you, signing baseballs during an inning break or something. But if you can ball, you can ball.
Gotta have
you
flavor.
overlook a lot of things.
True. Jeff Hoffman coming up. All right, we've got Blue Jays reliever Jeff Hoffman with us, and you're back in Toronto. It's been a minute, Jeff. Are you excited to be back with this team?
Yeah, very excited. It's been a long time, but getting to kind of rekindle old relationships with staff members, and I actually haven't played with any of the players in this clubhouse, but getting to rekindle old relationships with former staff and stuff, it's been fun.
How much has it changed? Because this wasn't here.
No.
This definitely wasn't here. This whole complex they have here. And you were traded, people don't know, for Troy Tulowitzki in 2015, was it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much is it different from when you were here, almost 10 years ago now to where you are now?
Yeah, totally different building, not even the same. I mean, we're on the same street, but different structure. But yeah, I mean, this place has grown crazy. It's, probably one of the better spring training complexes in the league from what I've seen. So kind of gone from worst to first. And it's been nice to get to utilize all the great facilities they have around here.
Jeff, we're exactly the same. I was drafted by the Jays, didn't make it to the big leagues, a little bit differently, but then I came back later quite a little bit differently again. I got back to catch Dickey. But anyway, I remember when you were drafted. We were in the big league clubhouse in Toronto, and you were drafted. And it's good none of those guys are there because they were all hating on you. They were like, what? We took a picture? We took a picture in the ninth pick overall? When you were picked by the Jays, did you say, dang it, I don't want to play for those losers. They don't like me either?
No, not really. I was super excited. I was just excited to start my pro career, and I was broken at that time. I had my Tommy John surgery that I had just been recovering from, and so I wasn't even. I had a year plus probably to start playing still. So, I was really excited because Toronto to me was a little close to home, and it was better than ending up somewhere on the West Coast like that. So it was a good day.
You mentioned, can I see your zipper?
Yeah.
Gosh, is there a way we can close up on that? Just so anybody that says Tommy John is not a big deal, can we show this on his one cam, Jimmy? Oh, here, hold on. Put that thing up there so we can. Like for anyone that says that Tommy John is not a big deal, I want you to be able to see that right there. That is nasty scar. So nobody say that Tommy John is not a big deal. But then, So I got to ask you, because you went through the offseason and you had some physical question marks, right? So you had deals you thought with other places.
Yeah.
Do you know what it was? Do they tell you? Do they say, hey, this is why? And then do you go back? Because I don't know how this, as a free agent, I never had that come up. So do you go back then with your agent and say, no, it's not this? That doesn't hurt, or it's not a big deal?
Right. Yeah. It's tough, right? Because like everybody's got their doctors that they trust, and that's their team doctor, and that's they're paying them for that reason and to give them their opinion. But at the end of the day, imaging is kind of a big gray area. So, there's stuff that could show up in a picture that doesn't really affect me on a day-to-day basis, but it's there, for whatever reason. Maybe it bothered me in the past or whatever, but at this point I'm healthy, and it's something that it's not even on my radar. I've been going through a normal throwing progression. I've been healthy the past 2 years. I'm in a really good spot from a health standpoint.
After those things came back from your physical, whatever it was, were you afraid when you agreed with the Blue Jays? You're like, how long was it after you agreed that you had to wait for them to clear your physical?
Yeah, no, it was the deal with the Blue Jays. At that point, the other two had already transpired, and we were totally out in the open with everything with the Blue Jays, so they knew exactly what they were getting into. They saw all the imaging, and it was, like I said, it's something that every team has their own opinion on it, and they're the same teams that that flagged it still had offers on the table. So it's not like they completely pulled out. They were, it was to read into that what you want, but the Blue Jays were great, and they take it for what it is, and just excited to be here. And I'm healthy, and I'm ready to go.
Oh no, we got to show your arm again because your camera got a little fuzzy. So let's see if we can show. Don't tell me again that Tommy John isn't a big deal. Look at that thing. That's nasty. That's one of them things. Looks like the guy in Jaws that had his leg bitten off at some point, right?
Yeah.
Are you mad at the other teams? That we'll use Baltimore because Baltimore was the big team that was out there for you, right? Yeah. I mean, you're in their division now, so are you give me the ball every chance I get against Baltimore?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. That's not a. You can say it. That's fine. Listen.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, I like the chips. I like the this kind of stuff, the smoke, if you will. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, good. You better say that answer. You better say yes.
Yeah.
So you're going to be the closer?
I believe so. So it'll be fun getting to throw some pretty meaningful innings against everybody.
How close were you to starting? How close were you to starting? Is that the offseason? We heard some rumblings about that. Did teams say, nah, we want you in the back end?
Yeah, no, it was pretty much on a team to team basis. Depending on what their roster makeup looked like, what their needs were at the time, and so yeah, that was real. Didn't necessarily come from me. I didn't put that out there that I wanted to start or anything, but I guess with the recent track record of some of the guys that have switched back over, it was an interesting storyline, and I'm confident that I can do whatever is needed. So it would be a fun challenge to get back another shot at that. But at the same time, I'm happy that I found something that I'm pretty good at, and I enjoy pitching at the back end.
All right, what's your skit going to be? What's your skit going to be as closer?
like the video?
Yeah, the video, the music. They turn the lights and they make them flash. Are they going to make that bird come out and go, "Let's go, Blue Jays"?
I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think there's something pretty cool in the works though. Something maybe Marvel themed or something like that. I think there's.
You're a big Marvel guy then?
I like it, and I think the Blue Jays have a pretty good relationship with Marvel. So we'll see how it turns out.
The song?
Always the same. It's Alive by Kid Cudi.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't really change that one. That one's kind of that's the one that I like.
Can the crowd
I think so.
Okay.
They liked it in Philly.
The Canadians, do they know that song? Because sometimes they're a little behind.
I think so.
Okay. I'm just kidding. I mean, look at Kratz. He played there for years. Look how behind he is at times.
The six likes Drake. So I mean, I'm not saying you have to switch it, but you're gonna be there for 3 years either way. But Drake, anytime Drake puts on a jersey, they don't win the championship. So there's also that.
Yeah, maybe we can keep that part out. We can just not put the jersey on.
We'll keep that out. How much did you dominate Harper in those live at bats that we all heard about? Because I always talk about live ABs and who talks the most smack. I know he was coming back from rehab. I know, but essentially that's why you made the team. Essentially, you were grinding with the Iron Pigs, and you dominated Harper. And how much did you hold that over him the rest of the season and the rest of the 2 years?
Honestly, I try not to bring it up. He brings it up a lot. It was one of those things where, I mean, I had a really good day on the best possible day to have that day. And it was one of those things where it was like, I've said it, I've been on record saying it before, that I kind of treated it like it was the World Series that day. And I knew that, my numbers weren't great in AAA at that time, and I needed to do something to kind of, put some attention on me and get me a chance. So, I took the opportunity and ran with it, and I got him pretty good that day. It was, I had like 5 at-bats against him, and I punched him out 4 times. So
did he get a cut? Did he get a cut?
Yeah, he hit a ground ball to second.
No. Did he get a cut of your new contract? Because,
No, he didn't. The friendship's there.
So
okay, that's good.
Are you going to do like Soto did and maybe buy him like a car? Because, I mean, not that he needs the money.
Right.
You can buy him like one of those little, you can buy him a go-kart. I mean, they're just like a golf cart. They're just right down the street
We'll
here.
see. I probably do owe him something, a little something special.
$1,000 gift card to Best Buy. Kratz loves when guys give him that.
There you go. You can, whatever your heart desires with that one.
That's right. You may pick your own
Dick's,
poison.
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yes.
There you go.
Make Bryce walk into Dick's Sporting Goods.
That would be a sight.
He's got the Under Armour whole thing on the side of the wall, and Bryce can just be standing there looking around like, I wonder what I should get here. Maybe he's out there. He's trying out the bats, in the middle of the store, and someone walks by and's like, "Hey, I think that might be Bryce Harper."
Be a funny commercial.
It would be a great commercial. All right, so you're more of a 4-pitch kind of guy, right? You're not really the traditional. Usually closers are like a fastball slider, fastball changeup. Mm-hmm. How do you keep them sharp out of the bullpen?
I think just being diligent with pregame throws, and anytime maybe you have the opportunity to get on the mound for a side session because you haven't thrown in a couple days. I think just being diligent with that kind of work and getting the most out of your catch play, and I think for the most part it's I'm out there just really trying to feel one thing, and that's my hand. And where my hand's at in space, and usually if I lock into that and I'm locked in with where my hand's at, then everything kind of takes care of itself.
Jeff, last one for me. The facility. Now, when you were drafted, you saw the old facility. They made that facility when I was drafted in 2, and then in 20 when I quit. That's when they built this thing. What is the coolest thing? Because I've heard from some of the trainers, Voon Chung. Voon's in there. Voon was my first trainer. So you have a lot of the same guys. Hosey's in there. What's the coolest thing that you've never seen in any of your trips?
Oh, man. Shoot. I mean, this whole place is spectacular. I mean, it's a big league stadium set up in a spring training kind of venue, but I think the cool thing for me is seeing the recovery type stuff really make its way into the clubhouse, and that start to get taken a lot more serious, because I think that was a big thing for me when I've turned the corner in my career, getting healthier and able to stay on the field and perform, at the highest level. I think, that was something earlier in my career that wasn't necessarily a focal point. And, I think it's really good for young guys to learn how to keep themselves on the field and to prolong their careers and to stay on the field as long as possible. Because it's really hard to play this game for, 1 year, let alone 10. So, you just, I like to see that type of stuff really, make its way into the spotlight and, help guys, have a longer career.
What's it like having to take a bus though to the park? Because you guys do everything here and then you have to take a bus to the stadium. Yeah, is that strange sometimes?
It's a little weird.
And you guys have the double-decker bus. Are you up top or are you a bottom bunk guy?
I'm a bottom bunk guy.
Okay.
Just keep it simple.
Okay. Okay.
No, it's a little weird having to go over, to take the trip over to
your home
stadium,
ballpark.
to the home ballpark. Yeah, that's a little weird, but it is only a 7-minute drive, so it's not too much of a wrench in your day. But yeah, it's a little different from what you're normally used to.
One of the traditions, they used to have a huge ball that was kind of like a dry erase ball that was like all over the wall, and people would sign it when they made the big leagues with the Jays. Do they still have that? And will you sign it? Because technically it was only for people who were drafted by the Jays and made the big leagues with the Jays. So does this count? Because if it does, I still haven't signed it, even though it didn't work out the way that it was supposed to work out.
I think so. I don't know if they still have the exact same ball, but I think they have a list up on the wall now. It's way more modern and fancy, just like everything around here. But yeah, they have the list, and I'll have to take a look if I'm on there. But technically homegrown, so
technically that's what I'm saying.
Technically.
Hey, Scott, by the way, I have to wish him nothing but the best. This is for you and Kratz. You know why? He was born in New York, and guess where he lives now?
Orlando.
So
wow.
Jackpot for him.
Wow.
Yep, exactly. So that's why he's a
Both
great
of you
interview.
guys.
That's why he got paid. Yep.
That's right. That's the connection. Wow, you're AJ's new best friend. But Jeff, this was awesome, man. Appreciate the time. I should say this too. 2024 All-Star Jeff Hoffman with us, new Blue Jay. Thank you, Jeff. Great to see you, man. Hey, we're back. Awesome job by Jay's PR, by the way, to bring us all of those players, and AJ and Mark behind the scenes and the rest of the crew there doing a great job. Anyway, I wanted to bring this one up while we have a moment. Stephanie Apstein article in SI late last week about how they're measuring the players for the strike zone. Did you guys see this? You get caught if you're like that guy on the dating app who says they're 6'1", but they're really 5'10". There was like a good debate between Nolan Jones and Michael Toglia on the Rockies on who's the tallest player, because Toglia was listed taller, but Nolan Jones is actually taller. But if you read this article, it's pretty specific, guys, in terms of how they actually figure this out. So I thought it was interesting. They settled on the zone width, and then the height is between 27% of a batter's height to 53.5% of a batter's height, roughly the letters to the knees when you're in your normal stance. They do all these things, AJ, to try and make sure that you're not like cheating and slouching down a little bit. They have you holding your breath. They do the count multiple times, or they do the measurement multiple times. Did you like that? Because they said the vets are the ones who try and actually kind of slouch a little bit, while the young guys want to be like, oh, I'm super tall.
Yeah, I'd like to be 5'2" for my strike zone, but 6'4" in real life, and that's a real That's a real measurement, kids, because I'm 6'3 3/4, so we round up, right?
Yes.
So I'm just letting you know that that's a real thing. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of funny, but it takes away the little guy that's like bending down, and trying to make the strike zone shorter than what it is. So yeah, it's kind of funny, but I mean, whatever. Like, this is only for spring training until they make it next year into the real rules.
They have come a long way since 2020 camp, when I saw even the great Aaron Judge slouching a little bit just as he was getting measured by the electronic whatever height measurer. It's not a scale, but it kind of looks like a scale, and it's like the guy's like, I don't know, and we were all just laughing.
You don't have the ruler? They didn't use the ruler on your head, Kratz, and make sure it's straight, or you can make yourself taller or shorter depending on how you bend it on your head?
Tilt the ruler? Yeah, no, that's not what happened. But I remember getting on there and being like, I'm not going to be around for this, so I don't really care what exactly my height is, because it's not going to affect me.
They make you wear shorts. They send the results to an institute for biomechanical analysis to make sure that everyone was standing up straight. So they're not messing around.
They got extra cash.
All right, we're back, and we spoke to the Blue Jays for a while, so we're going to be super quick on these segments. The Mets have had a lot of debate about, who could be their captain. There was a good article from Anthony DiComo. AJ, any thoughts on this? Just a quick hitter thought for me. I don't really care, but it's been discussed a lot. So should they make someone like Lindor the captain?
No.
Okay.
I got the perfect person for it. Jose
Who?
Iglesias or Grimace should be the captain. Those are your captains.
Jose Iglesias.
Not on the team, but he's the captain. Kratz?
He can be the captain. He can be Captain Entertainment. Captain OMG.
Being in the Mets clubhouse, when I brought up the word grimace, the eye rolls and the laughter and the association with something I can't even talk about on this show. We have to wait for it to be an uncensored show. What they called grimace, he's definitely not the captain. No, they don't need a captain. Like, if it happens naturally, if there's somebody that pops up, if they have a tough time deciding who the captain is, they're not ready for a captain.
Yeah, Nimmo said slapping the C on one guy would probably not be a full picture of what's actually going on in here.
Not only that, but before the last few years, you probably would have said Alonso, but he's on a short-term deal, so you can't throw it on him. You usually have to throw it on a guy on a long-term deal, so that would mean Lindor, or you're not going to give it to Soto, who just signed. So, yeah, if you have to have a debate about it, then I agree with Nimmo. It's not where you're at. Or you just do like Ozzie Guillen did. You just do like Ozzie Guillen did with us with Paul Konerko. He's like, yeah, he's the captain. And we're like, oh, I guess Paul's the captain.
I thought Ozzie made himself the captain.
I am the captain now.
Yes.
All right, FT fam, back with a segment in a moment. All right, we're back. You guys crushed it, by the way. AJ, those are some good combos.
I mean, sorry, Kratzy.
That's what AJ does. He gets players.
We could say it.
Too soon? Too soon, Kratzy?
No, it's not too soon. It's
no.
Too soon.
It's just constant. It's like a knife was dug in, and so every time it's brought up, I'm totally fine with it because then I just remember and I start to forgive and I just don't anymore. It just pushes the knife.
I just have to ask this question: did you actually go in the clubhouse? Because you have to actually physically go in there.
I was having long conversations with guys who said they would come out, and I'll be honest. Like I said before, I don't put it on the players. I don't put it all on the players. Could they have had, their own schedule? Sure, I get that. But hey, a little reminder. Hey, you had talked to the guys out of FT, the rate outside the door that everybody was using until our show started. And then all of a sudden that door became unusable. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I talked to him. I talked to even some of my good friends.
Yeah, that door became a dungeon torture chamber kind of door where if you pass through it, then you have to actually, speak to the one media that wants to cover your team. For
what I actually heard was there was a sign on the inside that Kratz didn't see. It said, "Do not pass. Erik Kratz is out there," and it had like a skull and crossbones, like the poison sign, on the clubhouse door on the inside.
I want to be clear. We're talking about the Cardinals. Props to Ali Marmol for joining us, and the rest of whatever was going on there needs an apology or some explanation that we didn't get because it's the only team ever in many dozens of camps where we didn't get a player, and I would not have had that on my bingo card, or maybe I would have. I don't know, but either way, that was weird. So it's worth pointing out when people are like, oh, well, you're getting players before a game. And I'm like, first of all, some of the players that committed weren't playing in a game at all. And as you can see, every camp we go to, we do this for a reason. We switch the timing of our show to fit everyone's schedules. So look at the Blue Jays, look at the Mets.
I'm going to say right now, I mean, the Mets guys are all playing, but the Blue Jays today, Jeff Hoffman, who was our last interview, he came into Dunedin to the camp just to do our interview today. So props to the Blue Jays, props to their PR. More importantly, props to Jeff Hoffman for coming. He literally didn't have to come here. He could have been in Lakeland, maybe spent the night at his house in Orlando, but he came in just to do our show. So props to all those guys.
Major props, exactly.
One kid I won't even say his name, one kid came up to me and asked if he could be on the show. So there's no way that's being forgotten by him.
There's some funny business there. Heim Bloom, clean it up for next year, please.
He will.
Let's slap one little signing.
Hold up, no, hold
What's
on before you did this.
You got
Speaking of
another
cleaning
player?
it up, producer lady needs to clean up the slap hands because there's a whole bunch of people in that video that aren't on them teams anymore. Walker Buehler, Aroldis Chapman. I mean, there's like I think Santander's in there. Tony's in Blue Jays, not on the Orange anymore. So I'm just saying.
She said no one's played an official game yet. There's a lot of back and forth going on. Anyway, Hector Nery's switching uniforms, at least for now. He's trying out for the Braves. They just got him into camp. We'll see how it goes. He was with the Astros and the Cubs last year. Just give a little bullpen depth for the Braves if he's able to make the cut. And then Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, said, quote, today, the two most difficult things in life are hitting a baseball and keeping a woman happy long term. So there's your answer. When he was asked about Shohei Ohtani or Travis Hunter, and he's a football player, and he went on the baseball player side and then had to give his take on other things, which he often does.
By the way, Travis Hunter, all you got to do is ask your coach, your former coach at Colorado, because he said it. He said Dion said the hardest thing you ever had to do was play baseball. I mean, plus, Travis Hunter's a wide receiver and a cornerback. I mean, Dion never tackled when he was in the NFL. The ball never came on his side of the field. He just stood there the whole time. Travis Hunter in college was kind of the same thing. No one threw his way. All he had to worry about was getting open on routes when they're all running go routes, and Shador just picked which one to throw to.
Yeah. A.J. Brown was in an interview the other day where he was like, I played in some showcase game and saw 97 from a high schooler and was like, I'm out.
He said, I can go catch a football.
Yeah. All right, we're staying FT fam for 2 minutes. We'll get you to Dodgers territory, and then we're going to spend 5 minutes talking about the Pete Rose story that we didn't get to. So stay tuned on that front because that would have been the headliner today. But then Max Scherzer walked in, and then Bowden Francis walked in, and we had a ton of interviews today. So it's a good problem. Sorry about it. Sorry about it.
Ooh.
Kratz hats while we have a
Translation.
Yeah.
Translation. I mean, over the years, they've gone through some logos. They've gone through some different hats. I love the whole mix, the whole colorway, as they call it.
All the blues and the baby blue in the front. It's really nice. AJ, you have to like that hat. That's probably one of those hats that would fit well with your blues
I like
too.
That hat.
No?
You know what I even like? I even like the maple leaf, the way they accentuated the maple leaf on the bird. I think that hat is strong, eh?
Yeah.
Hey.
Don't you know? Yeah.
Last minute of this show, and then we'll continue on this show, but Dodgers territory will start too. AJ, your thoughts on Blue Jays camp being there for the day? I know you can obviously have misconceptions, but there are a bunch of new faces in there. Do you feel like this is truly going to be a more competitive team? Because they were, 74 wins in a last place team last year. Do you feel the difference there?
Well, I mean, everyone's happy in spring training, but the problem is look at the division. You got the Yankees who are supposed to be good. You got the Red Sox who are much improved. You got the Orioles who are supposed to be good, and the Rays figured out when we talked to Schneider. So, I mean, do I think this team is improved? I do. I think if their pitching stays healthy, they have a chance. I think their lineup is going to be better because I don't expect Bo Bichette to have a down year. It's his free agent year. I expect him to go off. Santander, Springer, I think are going to be good when Varsho comes back. I think Kirk will bounce back. Gosh, it's a tough division. I mean, if you finish fourth in this division, you're like, I could have 82, 83 wins and still finish fourth in this division. So it's a tough slog, but I do like the improvements they have made, but I still think they need more.
Okay. All right. So let's spend some time here on a story that emerged in the past 24 hours. Always a hot topic. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? Should he be banned from baseball? Now, Pete passed away late last year in September, and Commissioner Manfred is considering removing him from MLB's ineligible list. We saw President Trump talk about pardoning him, but Don Van Natta Jr., who represents Pete Rose, sent a request in on January 8th and said, hey, he should be taken off the ineligible list because it's a lifetime ban and the ban is over. And the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, is considering it. They had a 1-hour meeting December 17th, very busy schedule, but he did fit them in for a 1-hour meeting. And, obviously Pete Rose bet on baseball. Also, there's been a lot of chatter on social media the last couple of days saying, well, he only bet on his team to win. Well, he didn't bet on his team to win every single game. I just want to throw that out there. So if you don't bet on your team to win every single game, why don't you believe in them the other games? Just start to do some math there on why that part does not make a lot of sense. But anyway, AJ, he has passed away. The Hall of Fame always tries to blame this on MLB, saying, oh, well, he's on the ineligible list. So if MLB does take him off of that list, then it is on the Hall of Fame because they created the Pete Rose rule to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. So what do you think is going to happen and what should happen?
Well, if Pete Rose is eligible now, then why is Shoeless Joe Jackson not eligible now, right? I mean, he passed away a long time ago and he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's still on the ineligible list. I think this is just a lot ado about nothing. I'm sorry, you broke the cardinal rule, Pete, and God rest your soul. But you broke the cardinal rule of baseball. You cannot bet on baseball games. You cannot do. We saw what happened with Pat Hoiberg the other couple weeks ago, where he didn't even bet. He just, his friend used his account to bet on baseball, and he's suspended. You just can't do it. It sucks. Pete did it. The biggest thing is it took him 30 years to admit he did it. So, even if he gets off the ineligible list, will he get into the Hall of Fame? I don't know how he'd go in, the Veterans Committee, the other eras committee, whatever it is, but would people vote him in? That's a bigger question, because even if baseball declares him eligible, the Hall of Fame still has to vote him in. So I don't know, but for me, listen, I've been hard no on this the whole time. People can get mad at me. I don't really care. But to me, there's one rule in baseball you can't break, and it is the gambling rule, especially when you're gambling on your own team. I know he only bet to his teams to win, but still, I mean, he was the manager. He did maybe, Scott, Erik, he might have had a little inside information on certain games as the manager of a team.
And some guys were rested and not rested. Anyway, I still say no, he's not allowed in. Should there be something in the Hall of Fame to commemorate his unbelievable achievements? Because it's it's more than just the plaques and the people that are in there. There's a lot of pieces of history. There's a lot of things that mark the history in the game, and I think he is 100% part of that. So do I think he'll ever get in, was one of your questions, Scott. Yes, I think he will get in. I think they've played it out, and if the family really wants that, I don't know, there's a lot of people that have broken rules that people feel like are more important or less important than that, and they don't have any more repercussions. This was a blanket statement. You will be banned for life if you get caught betting on baseball. That's it. They put it out there. Never said you'll be banned for life. You'll be banned from all awards if you get caught doing steroids. No. This is something, it was put out there. It's read to you every spring training. So I feel like it's kind of cut and dry.
Okay, let me ask you this, Kratzy. So if you think Pete Rose will get in, why is Bonds not in? Why is Clemens not in? Why is whoever else, McGuire, Sosa, all these guys that are PED linked, why are they not in? Palmeiro has 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. That's 2 autos. He's not in. Why not? Now, can the Veterans Committee vote him in? So is what they did. Now, I'm gonna preface this. It was not against the rules of Major League Baseball when they allegedly did things. Gambling is 100% against the rules, and you're out for life. So which one's worse? So if Pete gets in, why do we not let the other guys in? There's a slippery slope here. And if we're gonna say, well, gambling's not that bad, he's dead now. Well, then does that mean Bonds and Clemens and McGuire and Sosa and all these guys that did all these great things, are they going to get in after they pass away?
I think they should get in now. We weren't talking about the steroid guys, but I think that, to me, that's not even close. I think they should have been in, and I think people just want to be on their high horse and be like, no, I didn't vote those guys in. You also didn't face what they were facing. They weren't the only guys doing this. They were not the only ones out on an island. Oh, my goodness, those guys were steroid guys? There are steroid guys already in the Hall of Fame. You didn't get it right. Put the best in. They are the best. Don't have another wing. Don't have any asterisks. That's my soapbox for those guys. They should be in. bar none, flat out. That's it.
What about
Ken
the Astros
Rosenthal.
guys? No, what about the
about
Astros
that?
guys? Altuve, he's going to get 3,000 hits more than likely.
Yes.
Carlos Beltran was on that team. He's more than likely going to get in. Would you consider them cheating, having cheated? Because a lot of fans will say they cheated.
They cheated, yes. But we're talking about the Hall of Fame. We're talking about dudes that created things like what pitchers put substance on the balls and got into the Hall of Fame. Like that, in. Carlos Beltran and Jose Altuve, in.
Okay.
If Altuve has the career.
Just you see what I'm saying? Like it's just there's so many different ways you can frame however you want to frame it, right?
That's the thing. Because the way you guys are talking, it's like, okay, well, Pete Rose was one of the best players ever. So
he was.
What happened there when he was a player, you know? And should he be punished just for the manager side of things? Or did he bet his player? I have no idea.
Greenies are banned then. Or banned now. They weren't banned then, so should every player that took a greenie not be allowed in the Hall of Fame? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not my decision.
Roids, by the way, were illegal. You can't use them in the country back then, too. But I get what you're saying.
I mean, there's a lot of things you can't do, but I mean, the 86 Mets were doing illegal stuff, and you know, people cheer them all the time.
But this is why most people are like, yo, can we just put him in? He clearly is near and dear to so many people and such a big part of childhood and love of the game and the whole thing. And he definitely should not have been involved in baseball once he was caught. That was accomplished. He is now not alive. And it was called a lifetime ban. So they're like, can they strip it? And the earliest, this was what I was saying before, that he could be inducted is 2028, according to Ken Rosenthal, who was doing some checking behind the scenes. That's based on the current process that the Hall of Fame has, because he would be considered part of the classic era, because his biggest contributions to the sport came before 1980. So the classic era players aren't scheduled to be considered again until they do that voting process in the winter of 2027. That's a committee of former players. Do you think they would vote him in if he's taken off of the ineligible list? Because it seems like they're not into that level, or those players from long ago that are on that board. It seems like they're pretty anti-steroid guys, but would they be anti-Pete Rose here?
Anti-steroids. Yeah. Depends on who's. At one point, it was like Joe Morgan, and I don't know who else. Joe Morgan was one of the most outspoken guys. I mean, he was a teammate with Pete Rose for a long time. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see this. I just don't know that it will be enough pressure for Rob Manfred to reinstate him to whatever level he has the power to, because let's not forget, he still has to get voted into the Hall of Fame. It's not like, oh, he automatically goes into the Hall of Fame if Rob Manfred comes out and changes this. But if he changes this, then you got to get Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame also.
Should we just say screw it and just open up the floodgates and let everyone in? I'm not even giving my opinion here, because the more that time moves on, the more I'm just like, whatever. Let the people in if it's going to make everyone happy. And obviously, we have better rules in place. Like, the game is modernized. Nowadays, there's at least a better testing system. There's more strict penalties if you do get caught with roids. Say it however you want. People are so misinformed on this topic. We are so much better now in the past few years at catching people doing shady things with betting than we ever were for the first 100 some odd years of baseball, because it's regulated so they can catch people, even people who kind of made a mistake. You know, at least that's what Pat Hoberg said, who we spoke about earlier, the umpire who got caught and now he's banned from the game. The reason you catch those people is because they're betting on apps that are actually regulated. So the people that are like, oh, MLB markets betting, what does that have to do with a player in a game impacting what the heck's going on in the game? That's stupid. Oh, wait, AJ, we got to reset you.
You're a little, yeah.
Quick reset for AJ. Sorry, AJ. 1 sec. We'll reset you. But Kratz, any thoughts there?
No, I mean, no. I've said my piece about it, and I just think I think that the fact that we have more gambling than we ever have, as far as like, oh, it's being sponsored and all that stuff. To me, that's so much safer. It's so much more regulated. There's so much more. We have a much more ability to track it all now.
Yeah. Do you think that the commissioner will take him off the list? And do you think if that's the case, he will end up in the Hall of Fame? I actually think yes to both of those answers.
I do too.
I'm fine with it.
I know he's going to take him off the list. How he gets voted in and what that process is, it would have to be like, if he gets in, like, how do those guys feel about it? The guys that vote those players in. But I think he gets taken off the list.
Okay. Yeah, people are heated about this topic. Whenever it comes up, it gets a ton of play. It kind of goes to the top of the entire sports sphere, right? When you go to pick a website, an ESPN, a CBS, etc., you suddenly see that story pop up at the top of the list. There's a reason for that. Those sites put the top stories up that people want to read into and that get clicks. So it is still a super hot topic whenever we bring it up. AJ, you're back for final word. Oh, wait, no,
You're
not
muted.
yet. You're muted now. You were great, man. This was awesome.
Just leave
Maybe
AJ
not.
on, keep him dancing.
Yeah. Well, we made it for 2 hours of the show, so we did well. But we'll see if AJ can give us final word. Otherwise, we'll just end the show. But wanted to chat this out because obviously it's been big. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see AJ in Palm Beach. All right. We've got Astros and Nationals the next couple days, or flip that. Nationals, then Astros Tuesday and Wednesday. So we're excited for that. FT fam, thanks for watching. As always, again, thanks to the Blue Jays for helping making it easy for us to just rack up interviews and really get to know some of these guys, including players who we hadn't spoken to. Jeff Hoffman.
It's huge.
Bowden Francis.
Manoah.
Alek Manoah we hadn't gotten on because he'd been going through all his stuff and, he was at camp, so we were able to sit down with him. That was cool. So anyway, good show. See ya on Tuesday.